Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kings of Fantasy Football. I'm your co-host Pablo, and here's my co-host.
Leo.
So, on today's episode, we are going to discuss waiver wire targets for Week 9 the fantasy football season. So, we're going to dive right in. Start with quarterbacks. So, the quarterback that I would target this week is Sam Darnold, even though he was on a bye. And the previous game before that against the Texans, he only scored 12 fantasy points. Before that, he was pretty much on a roll with Jackson Smith and Jigba having really good season so far. I think he's just gonna kind of continue where he left off, and they kind of have to be competitive as far as their division is concerned. That division, I think there's 5 teams with 5 wins, if I'm not mistaken. And again, the weeks before that, had really good games. 39 points, then 31 points, 341 yards, 295. He didn't have a terrible game against the Texans. He had 213 and a touchdown. And he has a pretty favorable matchups in the next 3 out of the 4 weeks. So he's only, let me see, he's only 43% rostered. So especially if you're dealing with any injuries or you're in a 2 QB league, I would definitely target Sam Darnold. What about you, Leo?
Yeah, Darnold's definitely a good pickup there. I was able to get him in a couple leagues trying to get ahead. Because with all these injuries and buys, it's getting difficult. So in deeper leagues, that's a good call. For me, my first quarterback to go after is Trevor Lawrence. He was on a bye last week as well. There was like 6 teams on a bye, so a lot of a lot of players coming back this week. Lawrence has a nice matchup, but going up against the the Raiders at Las Vegas. Raiders have a lot of 5 quarterbacks this year to score over 18 fantasy points. And the one that scored under 10 fantasy points was Cam Ward, which is been having a tough time. But right prior to the bye week, Mr. Lawrence was getting his chemistry going with with Travis Hunter. That Travis Hunter had one of his best games, and Thomas should be hopefully back healthy. I haven't heard too much about him if his injury was going to be more lingering, but we'll see. But those he has a couple of nice options there. If a couple other guys to look at quarterbacks, like I said, with all these buys and injuries, Fields is on a bye himself this week. But right when he was staring being benched in the face by Aaron Glenn, and he came through. So he has a couple of nice matches after returns. If you need someone a little deeper, Tua actually showed up with one eye and was decent. He plays on Thursday night against the Ravens. The Ravens defense has been coming a little better, but if you're desperate there, Carson Wentz is done for the year with a shoulder injury, and so JJ McCarthy's back. He has wonderful weapons with Jefferson and Addison, along with Hawkinson and the running backs that he has back there. So definitely, deeper leagues there, and also Rattler got Spencer Rattler got benched at with New Orleans, and now it's Tyler social now. So I don't know. Like I said, that's really deep. But if you need someone desperate, 2 quarterback leagues, just a couple of guys there, a little deep.
Yeah, I think as far as Tua, especially if you pick him up to play him Thursday, probably going to be more of a shootout. So I agree with you there. Now moving on to running backs. Running back that I would target in waivers. He may not be like rest of the season, but definitely until his teammate gets back. Talking about Bam Knight of the Cardinals. Trey Benson is scheduled to be back, I think, 1 more week is what they've said. And I'm pretty sure that I read somewhere where they let go Michael quarter, so that kind of leaves Bam Knight as the only option until Trey Benson gets back. And he is only rostered in 28% of leagues. And last week, or the week before, he had 108, or across 2 games, he's had 118 scrimmage yards and a touchdown on 29 total touches. And they face Dallas, and we all know how that defense has been playing as of late. So definitely would target Bam Knight. What about you?
Yeah, another one of the travesty of injuries that happened this week was Cam Scatterbo, which is I know one of your players dear to your heart that you've been that you loved all year long. But yeah, now he's off for the year with a knee issue. So now it's time for Mr. Tyrone Tracy to come back to us. At the end of last year, he had a lot. He was very utilized for fantasy managers down the stretch, and it looks like he's gonna have that opportunity again. With Scatterbo out of the picture, he's gonna be able to get the majority of the carries. Devin Singletary will probably be mixed in there, but I do see Tracy being the one that has the majority of the touches going forward, and definitely should be on everyone's radar this week to pick up. Next is Tyjae Spears. I've been saying to pick up Spears the last couple of weeks, as he's been gaining more traction since he's come off the IR, and now it's look like he's finally coming through. He had his best game of the year in Week 9. He had 9 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown. He also had 3 catches for 23 yards on 3 targets. So he gets utilized on both the running and the passing game. So definitely someone that you should go after as well. And the little couple injuries that also happened this week that we don't know. Quinton Junkins is out. He had a shoulder injury. Don't know if he's gonna be coming back. So maybe if we're not gonna find out much information this week since the Cleveland Browns are on a bye. But someone to look at, maybe Dylan Sampson. If you have with all these buys, if you can stash him, maybe you can stash him there. Barkley got banged up a little bit, and Tank Bixby came on, had a nice little game there. Another person, like a kind of sneaky ad, is Isaiah Davis. There's been rumors about Breece Hall on the trading block, and Isaiah Davis might be the one that benefits the most if he does get if they do depart ways with Breece Hall. So there's a couple guys there to look at there. Also, Emmanuel Wilson, a little further back. Jacobs is there, but Wilson has been getting some extra work lately. So just a couple guys in deeper league formats.
Okay. Yeah, Scatterbo's injury is really tough. Me being having him on my team really hurts. But I agree. Tracy, maybe even Singletary, in deeper leagues. I like Tyjae. Spears as well. Now moving on to wide receivers. The wide receiver that I would target is, I think, someone that you talked about earlier in the year, but I think the last 2 weeks he's really been coming along. I'm talking about Kayshon Boutte. So last 2 weeks, even though he is not getting me many targets, he's taken advantage. So actually the last 3 weeks, he's been wide receiver 4, wide receiver 24, wide receiver 13. So against the Saints, 5 targets, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. Against Tennessee, 2 targets, 1 touchdown, 55 yards. And then against Cleveland, 5 targets, 3 receptions, 75 yards, and a touchdown. And especially with that offense in New England, and Drake May's been playing out of his mind. I think he's had like over 100 passer rating this whole year so far. So I think that relationship's going to continue to blossom. So he's only rostered in 53% of leagues. So definitely target him. What about you?
Yeah, definitely before you, I talk about the main guy to a couple guys to go after. Take a look. Make sure that by chance Travis Hunter isn't there, um, uh, and maybe Chris Godwin. Godwin's been on the IR, and if he's still he's been not IR, but he's been out. Maybe people got desperate and dropped him with all these buys, and Travis Hunter was on a buy. So if he's there, maybe add him up really quick. The first guy I'm going to talk about is Troy Franklin. He's had he has a tough matchup this week with going up against Houston. Houston's been locking down everyone, but he's had been having great chemistry with his college teammate Bo Nix, and this past week Franklin had an excellent game. Was scored double-digit fantasy points. He had 6 catches for 89 yards and a couple of touchdowns on 8 targets. So definitely someone to grab there. Marvin Mims is concussed, so he's probably going to be out for Week 9. So that'll also make Franklin more available this past week. Sertan might be out for the Broncos, which might help out the secondary, lighten things up for for the I'm sorry for these guys as well. So they have we'll see how it goes for Houston. I'm sorry, against Houston. Another receiver to get that I was able to get him in a few leagues is Shamir Dike. Sorry, he's over the last couple of weeks he's had against New England and the Colts. He's had like 11 catches, 163 yards, and a touchdown on 12 targets. Most of this has been happening because Calvin Ridley's been out. But I think even if Calvin Ridley comes back, I think he's still gonna he's made a name for himself that he should be able to continue to be an option for players. Mr. Christian Watson returned from his IR stint, his most recent IR stint. He showed some flashes right off the bat. He got targeted 4 times, caught off 4, and for 85 yards. He's always been a big play threat, just can't stay healthy. So there's a lot of moving parts there in Green Bay, but there's someone to look at there. Last week we talked about Wan'Dale Robinson, but due to Darius Slayton's return, Robinson was kind of they kind of mixed him and Slayton kind of mixed up the targets. They were able to he was able to get enough of his own. Then there was a big play that was taken away from him that he had a 68-yard touchdown for Slayton that was removed due to penalties, so offensive pass interference. So that that kind of hurts, but it is what it is. And a little deeper leagues, Jalen Noel, they're in your home team. He's been coming along. Christian Kirk's been out. I think he's still gonna be out. Nico Collins in concussion protocol. Maybe he should be back, but even before Collins went out, Noel had a nice game the previous week. So there's a few guys there in deeper leagues.
All right. I think a good one would be Troy Franklin, like you mentioned. Bell next been playing really well. Hopefully, the Texans can kind of slow them down because I'm playing against Bo next this week, so gonna need some help. Now, moving on to tight ends. Pretty sure you talked about him a few weeks ago as well. And I'm talking about AJ Barner of the Seahawks. He's only rostered in 18% of leagues, but even though he didn't have a good week against Houston, again, he has some more favorable matchups in the next 3 out of 4 weeks. Washington, Arizona, and then they play Tennessee. Before the Houston game, he was pretty consistent, over 10 fantasy points. He was tight end 8, tight end 1, and tight end 17. He's had about 13 targets over those 3 week spans. So again, AJ Barner, tight end of the Seahawks, and Sam Darnold's gonna have to be scoring points to keep them in the hunt for the division win. So I would definitely target Warner. What about you?
Yeah, before you go after any these guys, always just make sure that Rondé Gatson just doesn't happen to be there. He's been a monster for everybody. Um, but the main guy I want to talk about this week is Colson Loveland. He's going up. He's going to be going up against the Bengals this week, which allow the most fantasy points to tight ends this year. They've allowed numerous tight ends to score double digits. They've allowed Fan and Hawkinson. He's been horrible this year. Um, Sam Laporte, Kraft, Freemuth, Jonnu Smith. Uh, it's crazy. Mason Taylor this past week. So, like I said, they allow the most fantasy points to tight ends this year, and definitely should be someone to consider if you need help at tight end. A couple other tight ends to pick up. The thing is that they're on a bye, so you just got to hold them for next week. Obviously Harold Fannin. Some people might drop him. They do pick him back up. He's been doing well. Also Mason Taylor. He's been coming along. He's like one of the gets the most targets there with the Jets, especially with Garrett Wilson out. So he's been pretty phenomenal there. And a little deeper tight end is a tight end from the Titans, Gunnar Helm. He's like I said, this is just a little bit of a deeper league, tight end premium. He got his first touchdown this past week, and he had a couple catches for 23 yards, 3 targets, and there's rumors that they might trade a Sheik Okonkwo. So if that happens, that'll definitely open up the um, more opportunities for Gunnar Helm going forward. Like I said, this is like a deeper tight end premium kind of play.
Yeah. Kind of regret not going for what's his name, Gadsden in one of my leagues. Was able to get him in another. So hopefully he continues to impress. And then last thing, moving on to defenses, and I'm pretty surprised at their roster percentage. I'm talking about the Lions. They're only 59% rostered, but they're actually number 6 ranked defense fantasy-wise. They play against Minnesota this week. With JJ coming back, still think that they're a good pickup for the week. What about you, Leo?
Yeah, this defense that they're like I said, they're about 50-something% rostered as well, I believe, and a lot of teams that dropped them because they went on a bye last week, and that's the Rams. They're gonna go up against the Saints this week. With the rookie Tyler Show behind center. I believe that the Rams are gonna make them feel the pain. That game is at home in Los Angeles, so if they're available, that should be definitely your pick there to go after. If you need someone else a little deeper, maybe the Seahawks are there. If Daniels is still out with his hamstring injury, if they go up against the Commanders, so if you need someone, the Seahawks defense has also been pretty decent this year. So if you need some help there a little deeper, maybe the Seahawks.
Yeah, Seahawks have been pretty good defense this year. So, kind of wrapping things up. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Please like, follow, share with anyone who'd be interested in getting some help for fantasy. If you have any questions, you can reach me on X. That would be at Archreaper, ARCHREAPR. Leo, where can they reach you?
Yeah, if you have any fantasy questions, dynasty questions, start sit, you can reach me on X as well at smooth1074. I hope if you like the show, follow, tell a friend, share, like, helps us out.
Thanks, everyone.
Peace.